Hello, good evening, and welcome to another live edition of the CantinaMX podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. This is a podcast. It's a barroom conversation about Liga MX, Mexican soccer, and of course the world of soccer in general. My name is John Jagu. I'm very happy to have you guys along. We have once again another distinguished panel of guests that will join us tonight on the panel that will discuss a litany of subjects in the world of Liga MX, Mexican soccer, the world of soccer, etc. Of course, with us, as always, is our technical director, Albert El Chiquis Campa. Albert, how are you?
Hey, what's up, guys? Doing good.
Glad to have you along. Chiquis are Pumas. Well, I don't know who you were rooting for because now when it's two cat teams, how do you determine which cat team is the one that you pull for since you're the Cambia Gato? So do you Cambia Gato mid-game when it's two cat teams?
Puma's the top priority, always.
All right.
I'm glad to see him.
That's good to hear. Although I think that, didn't we decide, Joel, that the Chiquis is now Mil Máscaras from, he just goes from team to team?
Not totally true, but okay.
he's like Mystique in the X-Men, can just change uniforms from game to game now. Wait, well, always a pleasure to have all of you on, Chiquis. I know that you are we gonna have a phone conversation tonight, or are we just gonna keep it amongst ourselves?
Set up some phone lines. We'll get here shortly.
Oh, we'll have phone lines up, so we'll post those numbers, and if I remember, I'll actually say them on the air, so you all can please feel free to join in on the fun. Out in South Los Angeles, a gentleman who I believe is on his, I'm going to say, second Moscow Mule. That is his drink of choice for the evening, and that's Joel Aceves. Joel, how are you?
Hey, I'm enjoying the drink, John. I started drinking it because, CONCACHAF's experts now for the World Cup
right
proposed. So I think the eliminatorias, as we know them, will be changed for the unforeseeable future.
So what it's doing essentially is it's essentially guaranteeing that Mexico is going to be in the World Cup forever.
It's, they say, pasamos caminando, but now it's floating. We're going to qualify floating.
Right.
Which ultimately, hopefully, at least for me, it would lead to a joint qualifier with CONMEBOL. I mean, it makes just sense for TV because 10 or 12 team qualifier for CONCACAF is just too long, and a lot of matches won't be that good. And if we do by groups, that means Mexico, US, Costa Rica, they won't be facing each other. So that's that. But right now, John, Chivas beating Monterrey in Copa MX.
See, I feel bad, Joel. I was down. I was slow on the draw there because my volume was down a little bit. You got me. No, they are indeed winning. Another team that won over the weekend is Santos Laguna. They finally got off the schneid after getting. Well, I don't have to tell our next guest what happened. Daniel Preciado, they just lost lead after lead in like minute 88 on. It was a rough couple of weeks for Santos fans. But they finally.
Oddly enough, I felt pretty confident about the win while watching the game. I felt we were closer to the 2-0 than giving up the goal. I was like, all right, I think we got this one. So for some reason, This one felt a little different.
Interesting. Well, that's good. All they have to do is get one, and then we always talk about that 3-game winning streak is it just changes a team. Maybe and you can't have a 3-game winning streak without having the first one. So maybe this could be it for Santos. Maybe this is
the right time to start figuring it out.
You think that was part of Chepo's plan? Is like we're gonna lose some games, rough, but we'll get it. When we turn on, we have to, and then we get the momentum going, and we go in as a really hot team, and we win another trophy because we just we don't get tired of winning trophies over here.
I agree with you on some level that I do think he I think he's betting on everybody's going to get a little bit better. That some of the kids are going to continually just like get rid of some of those growing pains, and then some of the new guys are going to just start performing a little bit better. So I do think that they're on some level he is kind of betting on a slow improvement.
I have a really sneaky feeling that he's going to use the young kid. You know, if like say Santos gets the 3-game, like they get the 3-game winning streak, and they're comfortably in the Liguilla zone, and they have like a schlep
A
team
game to
coming up.
burn.
Yeah, exactly. And why not see what the kid can do? Maybe he can get hot, and then have another hot hand to go with.
I could be mistaken, but I do believe he may be gone.
Really, where'd he go?
I think he may be. I'm not sure if they started the camp already for the U20s.
Oh, for the World Cup?
Yeah, which I think is going to be in Korea. I think.
Well, that is unfortunate because.
I could be wrong, but I do think that I think I remember reading a tweet today saying that he's with the national team. So, but that might be. Yeah.
And of course, we're talking about his name is it Alfredo Cárdenas? Is that right?
It's Ronaldo.
Ronaldo Cárdenas. Oh,
no, Ronaldo Cisneros.
Ronaldo Cisneros. I'm sorry, is it Ronaldo?
Ronaldo.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to make him as Brazilian as possible.
That's a pretty good accent there, man.
Thanks, man.
That was very good. That's what always cracked me up about watching the World Cup and hearing how Mexicans pronounce the Brazilian words. They just pronounce it like it's in Spanish, and then you hear say like Belo Horizonte is just Belo Horizonte, like the way I say it. And then you hear the British people say it on ESPN. They go Belo Horizonte, and I can't even pronounce the way they would do it.
Goal.
Oh, did Monterrey equalize?
Oh, Gignac.
Oh, Gignac scored. Gignac scored for Tigres.
The dagger.
So now they have to get. He is. I feel really bad for him that he didn't get that ball didn't go off didn't go in against Portugal. Dude would be he would have made Tigres world famous had that ball gone in. Yeah, man. Love me some Tuca. Just saw Tuca celebrating. Very happy for Tuca. Hopefully he'll get a chance to go to Japan before he.
I thought you were going to say Russia. Yeah.
Well, that too. You know what? This would be a close consolation. This would be a good consolation prize for him if he didn't ended up going to Russia. If he could go to the Club World Cup, I think that he would make that trade. I would probably make that trade too. So,
well, I think it's nice that we're going to get somebody new. So that's going to be cool.
Yeah,
I personally hope it is Tigres, but
well, I just think that they have a team that's probably best equipped to either give the European, because it really depends if they every time they have a chance to draw the South American team in the Club World Cup, the Mexican team 9 times out of 10 have lost again. They've lost in penalties to the Moroccan team or the Asian team.
Well,
they haven't had a chance to play the South American. Had a better chance against.
I just think Tigres is probably going to be the more the stronger of the teams between them and I guess Pachuca, but and it's kind of hard. I'm thinking that Lozano's probably not going to be there by that time.
Right, and they are definitely a different team with him and without him, as we saw last night in Pachuca. And I wanted to ask you, Chiquis, you got to see the Pachuca Dallas game up in Dallas, and then you obviously watched the game. Well, I'm assuming you watched the game last night. Yeah. But in the semifinal, that was the second leg down in Pachuca. After what you saw in Dallas, were you expecting FC Dallas to play the way they did, or were you thinking something different was going to happen?
I thought they would try to play like that, the way they did, but I didn't think they would be successful. I thought they would tire a lot quicker. and it would be sort of a more dominated game by Pachuca. But they surprised me. They really surprised me this game yesterday.
Yeah, now FC Dallas, they were down for a week. MLS changed their schedule. How about that? The league accommodating a team that has an important club match, and you're giving them the opportunity to fully prepare as well as they possibly could have. They were in Puebla for a week, so they were acclimated to the climate, and they gave Pachuca fits. I know that the score ended up 3-1, but you have to look at everything on aggregate, and they had some really 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 good chances to make things very difficult for Pachuca, and unfortunately they didn't capitalize, and Pachuca did actually capitalize on their chances, and that ultimately was the difference. Is that Pachuca has a guy who has a nose for the goal in Chucky Lozano. At least when he plays for Pachuca, he tends to score, and he did it again last night. He got a good goal, and then a freak goal in the it was like the 10 with 10 seconds left in the game, right? 10 seconds left in stoppage time is when Chucky scored. It's insane. En la mera última, Joel. Did you get to see it, Joel?
For the Chivas?
No. Chucky's goal last night against FC Dallas.
I saw the goal, but I wasn't seeing the game.
Yeah, you didn't see it live. It was a tough one. It reminded me a lot, actually, of the. You remember when Sven had his first game against Honduras, and Honduras scored first, so Mexico had to get two, and they put Pavel on. They put Cuauhtemoc, the old guard Cuauhtemoc, and Pavel scored two, and the second one was like on a freak play like that because Demo blocked the goalie, and the ball went in. It was very similar to that. Just and it was tough. I mean that extra time was going to be, I thought, would be really entertaining. I thought there'd be another couple. At that point, the away goals don't matter, so it's just whoever wins extra time, regardless of whether you're home or away. So I was really looking forward to that. I thought it was going to be great. I thought it was a really good game. As far as the CONCAChampions games, I really can't think of a better one. Maybe the Monterrey Salt Lake game in Salt Lake, was that 2011, or the one, I've always thought that the best that Dan, you can either cuss at me or just not pay attention, but the one where Monterrey beat Santos when they scored was like 2 or 3 goals in 10 minutes in the second half, where they just had to have the goals. Dan, I don't want to stir up any bad memories, but I'm sure you probably remember what I'm talking about.
Honestly, it just seems like one memory, because we've lost to them a few times.
That's true. Boy, I'm sorry, Dan. I feel.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna admit, like they're the. They've been a thorn in our side for sure.
I was saving this for somebody else, Dan, but I feel like it's more appropriate here. I feel bad for you that I'm dredging up these terrible memories. It's rough. But in that CONCAChampions, I mean, then Santos had it, and then Monterrey scored what was like 2 or 3 goals in the second half of the game, and to end up icing the final. So I've always thought that was the best game, because it was they both were playing really really well at that time. But that was when Tigres, Santos, and Monterrey were dominating the league, right?
So your memory is a lot better than mine.
I believe that was when they were at the peak of their powers, both because they had Suazo and they had the whole and the Nigris, and Santos had Borghetti and Pony Ruiz, and it was.
Game I remember was when Hurt Gomez played for Santos, and he was playing one of his.
Yeah, exactly, right.
MLS,
and Oribe.
And they were dominating this MLS team, and Hurt was like fighting the MLS guys. It was like, man, isn't this guy an American? He was like, sort of arrogant and fighting all the MLS guys and roughing them up and stuff. And then
remember, Herc was practically blackballed from MLS. Well, not blackballed, but he didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, he was really passionate for his team, for Santos, and sort of putting it in their face, in MLS's face.
was on the U.S. team.
Yeah.
Remember, he and Chicharito both were on a they ended up tied in the scoring, but they both had, well, Chicharito had it in fewer games, but they had like 11 or 12 goals. So he was, he didn't play a minute.
Well, we lose you,
It
John.
was like Chicharito was just yes.
Oh, never mind. We lost you, or I lost you for a minute.
Oh, sorry about that. But but he and Chicharito were they were as hot as you could get as far as strikers, and he didn't get to see as much time, and of course Chicharito did not get to see as much time as people would have wanted. Hey, Chiquis, would you talk for a minute? There's something I got to take care of on the old computer. Hang on one second.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess what I was expecting Dallas to come out and in the first game, the first leg, I was over there. They were mishitting passes and they looked like really low level. But during the second leg, they changed things up totally, and they were playing pretty well. Their strikers weren't as fine tuned as they should have been because they didn't get on the end of a lot of good passes. But the team as a whole played well. They just couldn't finish off. The goal by Chucky, the first one he made was that was just an awesome shot, and the second one was sort of a mistake by defender and goalie. But
sorry about that. I'm back. I had to reschedule a restart on my computer. I guess it's Windows. It decided it had to download some things and
the updates
wants to restart. Yeah, but anywho, well, the second, I guess.
I was concerned, John. I was concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounded a lot more urgent. I'm glad it still was just your computer.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, luckily it was just my computer.
All right.
Nothing. I don't. Yeah, nothing too terribly critical.
All right,
there.
Great.
Dan, did you get a chance to watch the game last night?
I didn't. I did not. I'm sorry. But
no worries. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask Chiquis if to me the biggest difference in the game was that Pachuca, for whatever reason, they were just being really cavalier with their possession and really kind of making some just ill-timed sloppy passes in the back, and for some reason they were I don't know how many times FC Dallas had really good numbers on counterattacks, and but there'd always be that one guy, if it was Guti or whoever it was, that would come back and they would snuff it out. I mean there were times where FC Dallas had some really good possible chances that they couldn't capitalize on, and then they had a few where, I mean, that game could have been totally different if they get that goal in the first half. I mean, that would have really forced Pachuca to open up more so than they were doing. But it didn't work out. But I do think that it was not your typical MLS game, or at least recently, where they play a little more defensively and occasionally just try and hang on. Obviously, FC Dallas is a different kind of MLS team, and we do appreciate, at least I appreciate the way they play, and I really appreciated the way they played the other night. I enjoyed their performance. They were a good team. It was a good game, and it was a good advertisement for what we could see if MLS plays a Liga MX more often. I think that's something that I think we're going to probably start seeing here in the not so distant future. But let's move on. There are some Copa MX games. One just finished, Joel, and I don't think I have to ask you how that ended up.
Somos leyenda del fútbol mexicano.
I do believe that El Rebaño pulled it out.
Did. PK earned by Carlitos Fierro, who you're not too keen on.
It's not that I'm keen on him. I just think that he, you know, he may not have the technical skills that other players have, but he's effective in what he does. I think that he'll end up being a good.
I feel like I subscribe to the John Jacuz weekly mailing list on why Carlos Fierro sucks.
No, I'm not saying he sucks. I just think that I think he's out of position. I think that ultimately he probably deserves to be as a wing back. Is where he belongs.
No, but I mean, I'm glad to see him doing good and getting regular playing time. I feel he's one of many players that just get wasted, whose talent gets just thrown down the side. So it's always good to rescue players like that. I know we expect a lot of times. We want them to be, especially if they're in the national team, and we think we want them to be at this level of the players that go abroad. But even if you're not at that level, that doesn't mean you're a bad player. You're still talented and you still have quality. And I do feel we have a lot of players like that. And we were talking about this earlier before the podcast started, how the media goes crazy for players like Chofis and Linus. And it's like there's way more players like that. They're not. The Mexican League has more players of that caliber.
And why don't they play, Joel? What's holding them back?
Promoters, John, promoters. You don't have the right agent, you're not going to get noticed.
Well, is it more cost effective is it?
I would throw.
Is it better business for a promoter to promote South American players?
They're not going to make money. Yeah, they're not going to make money from the cantera.
But then
a lot of
why
people
is it
make money from this? I do think a lot of people will make money, and we saw it with the English. I don't know if you guys remember with who was it? Forget his name. He was Borghetti's coach in Bolton, Big Sam.
Oh, Allardyce.
Yeah, Big Sam, and he was talking about how they all get a cut for transfers, and so I do feel that happens to an extent as well in Liga MX, where you're bound to get a cut from the promoter or the agent if you get the club to buy a certain player.
Right.
But and then we see it we forget, because there's over 100 foreigners in Liga MX.
Oh, there's more than that.
Just in first division.
I guarantee you, there's 100. There's at least 150.
And I bet you the majority of us can't name over 20. So about 20 of them are truly relevant, at the level of Gignac and so on and so forth. And there's a big amount that some of them haven't even gotten playing time. There was a report not too long ago about how many players haven't even debuted. So I mean, they bring players like that, and they just block the local talent from getting any playing time.
So, do you think, Joel, that because of the fact that so teams are bringing foreign players over and then they're not playing them?
Yeah, it's part of the business. Everyone gets a cut.
Yeah. Do you get a cut, Joel? Is that are you?
That's why I'm complaining.
Do you think, Joel, that this show would be better if we had a South American panelist?
Well, no, because we don't really cover. I mean, to sell us on what,
Should we trade? Should we trade Ronnie for an Argentine Liga MX fan that speaks English? Is that would that give our show more credibility?
It absolutely would.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It would, just because of
the
accent.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Get an RG accent and.
Oh yeah. No, that. Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, no, we should trade him in now. We should trade him in yesterday.
That's interesting. That's interesting that you that you both think that. Maybe that's something we should look into, Cheekies.
Because I actually knew an Argentinian Cruz Azul fan.
So we have some chatter on our chat board. Because y'all, by all means, feel free to chat. But Richard Flores nos manda saludos nuevamente. ¿Qué tal? Saludos para toda la banda esta noche, well, Richard. Muchas gracias. Un abrazo for your kind words. Adrian Ordóñez or Ordóñez, I don't know if he uses the N or not. Adrian, you can let us know if it's Ordóñez or Ordóñez. Says Tigres will be second best team at Club World Cup if they make it. So he thinks that they can make the final. That they're probably that would be the team that would have the best shot, I think, if they made the final. And they are just hammering Vancouver right now. It seems like it's one-way traffic.
The goalkeeper's doing a pretty good job.
He's doing really well. I mean, it's not like they're just kicking it right at him, too. I mean, he's making some pretty good saves. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Chiquis, about that. Well, would Tigres have a chance then, boys, or would they be the team that's best equipped to handle that, to maybe make it to the final?
You know what, John? If they have the right mentality, they could win it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I agree. That's all there is to it.
Because I've seen it going way back to when it was the Intercontinental Cup, and the South American teams would beat.
They're jazzed. They want to play the game.
They would beat. Yeah, they really want it, and they would beat their European counterparts. And I think sometimes you see teams like Barcelona and Man U, and you just get overwhelmed.
Well,
but if you play them,
I just don't think that there is a as dominant a team in Europe as I mean, Barcelona is. That was a once in 50 years team. I mean, let's face it. We're going to be really lucky if we see a team like that again in the next 10 years. I mean, they were. I don't know if people can really appreciate how wonderful it was to watch them play and to have it for as long as we did. It truly was a gift to have a team like that. I don't think that I think the European teams, obviously they're going to be stronger. They have better players, and I get that. But I think you're right, Joel. I think that there's no reason to think why if River Plate can go in there and give whoever it is a real challenge, and possibly there's no reason why Tigres can't do it either. I mean, Tigres is stacked. Tigres has a couple of players from the Argentine national team, a Chilean national team, the Mexican national team, and the French national team. That's pretty good representation.
They lost to León, the very last.
Hey man, León has el
bringing down our hopes.
Yeah, León has el Julio.
My issue with that is that it's sort of like luck. Right now, they're not even.
That was a great goal.
Luck and form.
Oh, wait, but going back to Clubs World Cup, if we remember, there was this one. What was it? Japanese or Korean team that got to the final.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And
it was a Japanese team.
Who were they playing? Real or who?
They gave Real fits.
They gave them a run for their money. So I'm saying we could do it, and I guarantee you, this Tigres is way stronger than that team. It was giving Real fits.
Well, they just scored the game to go up 2-1. The goal to go up 2-1.
It's also stronger than the America team that went, who played them also.
The only thing I see it being mental is that they just blew out Vancouver, this team right here, because they know they're not going to make Liguilla. Liga is out, so they have to run this. They put all their eggs in this basket. That's the mental thing that I see.
Is their Liguilla hopes really that out of reach?
It's pretty close.
No, they're only 4 points out there. I mean, they have to win every game.
Yeah,
that's really the only way they're going to make it.
So that's my issue with
Yeah, but you know what? Tuca's the kind of guy that said, "Listen, we put a lot of effort into winning. We won a trophy, and you can't." Well, listen, I'm going to defend Tuca every way I can. So just understand that. But
we understand.
I don't know. I just that's why the 2-season season sucks, because it's just I would like to see how Tigres would be doing if it was a full season. They probably wouldn't be.
They were my pick to win the league, I think, on the show.
Were they?
Yeah.
But again, I mean, they're only 4 points out of the last spot, and 4 points is not that. I mean,
someone can fall off, and
right.
And if they win, then
I mean, let's face it. I mean, if Tigres makes the Liguilla, then they're going to be the hottest team in the tournament. I mean, they'll be an 8 seed, and it'll be who wants to play them?
And you do think that this team does have the personnel to turn it on, because it did seem like last year they did seem to just hit a switch at a certain point. So maybe it's not too late for them, but I do think it's more important for them to go to the Club World Cup.
I do too. I think it's just a great opportunity because it really is.
I think for them as an organization, it's exactly. Yeah, because I mean they've got a couple of leagues under their belt, like recent ones, and I think that's one that they would take a lot of pride in.
And it's got to just chap their ass as Tigres fans that Monterrey's been they won like three years in a row.
Well, I think that's why they're chomping at the bit to go, so that they could rub that.
They can one up. They can one up them.
Yeah,
they make the final.
Exactly. That's what they're thinking, because I mean, if there's a one team that's gone there a lot and who's really disappointed, it's been Monterrey.
Well, here's this is to me a huge difference between what I would consider institutions in Liga MX and how they're run. Okay, so Tigres and Cruz Azul both, and we can all agree, are going to spend money to bring players in, right? Would you all agree with that?
Would you say that they're going to bring players for that?
They consistently buy players.
They certainly can.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So let's look at, you remember Pachuca when they had their run where they won the Sudamericana? Who were their two most important players on that team? Do you guys remember?
Chilindrina?
It was Damian Alvarez, right? And who was the other one? Chaco.
Okay.
Right? I think we can all agree that when Pachuca was at their heyday was when those two guys were on the team. Chaco and Chilindrina. Okay, so Chilindrina just scored the go-ahead goal against Vancouver, and Chilindrina is used now mainly as a second-hand substitute and a guy to hide the ball, right? Just a possession guy.
Yeah,
maybe he'll score for you. That is exactly what Chaco should be doing for Cruz Azul, not building the entire team around him. Still, I mean, the dude's in his mid to late 30s. It's different strategies on how they're building teams. It just goes to show you how the teams that plan well and design what they want to do and pick the personnel to help them do that. And we see America has done that with the players that they've brought in, and now we see Tigres do it. And then we see a team like Cruz Azul that just buys guys para comprarlos, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for them, but I mean, you see that there's two differences in philosophies, and I think the America Tigres philosophy is one and out. And then Chivas is kind of doing the same thing too, but although they're limited with who it is that they can buy, but
hey, look at Saldivar though, got from the cantera. They played him a lot, almost due to necessity.
Right.
And he's a national team caliber player now.
He is, and
he might not. He might be starting.
Never go away from that, but if they need to fit pieces in, then get what you can get. Don't and if that works out for them, great. I mean, like I remember when they bought Luis Ernesto Perez. Why on earth did they buy Luis Ernesto Perez? I mean, it was just the one guy that was available. But they didn't need him, and now it seems like they're starting to get guys that make sense for them. I see Chivas as a very dynamic team, and they have very dynamic players.
Well, they still own Gulli.
And they're deep too.
Very deep.
They still own Gulli, so I would keep him drunk. If he scores goals, he had 12 that first season.
Keep him drunk, and
You
then
know?
make sure that he goes to places that are friendly.
Hey, the
to-
old school
losses.
Chivas. There's this really good article. I forgot where I read it. It could have been Remezcla, and it was this bar right by the stadium, by the Jalisco Stadium, and that's where a lot of the Campeonísimo players would hang out before a match. So they have a couple shots and then go play.
Did you have a couple shots with them, Joel?
No, it's Campeonísimo. It's before my time. I
Well,
mean,
maybe that's why you're Chivas fan. Maybe you were reincarnated.
Chivas has been linked with alcoholics for like a long time. From Bravo, they'll call him Tomar Bravo. Ramon Ramirez, who
I think you can say
ruined his
that.
career to the car crash. Alberto Medina, they would call him Beberto Medina. Cubo Torres almost ruined his career for drinking. That one joke was that they kept offering drinks and they would tell him con diablo or sin diablo, which means like just extra drink.
Right.
And Cubo's doing good right now. I think he's one of the leading goal scorers.
He got a hat trick, and he is the MLS. Was the MLS Player of the Week, and I know this because I am producing the Houston Dynamo this weekend, and I'm very excited
nice.
about that. So
I think he's the leading goal scorer of the league, but hey, I'm happy to see him doing good because
he's doing very well.
His career almost went down the drain. He was doing good. He came back to Guadalajara, got into that party mode, got accused of rape, which the allegations were dropped, returned to MLS, and he was just a complete bust. And now he's doing good again, so that's good.
Yeah, I think things are working out for him, and he got to do his robot dance once again. So I was very happy with him and how that worked out for him. And like I said, I'm gonna get to watch Kubo do his thing this weekend against New England Revolution. The game is on, I believe, at 2 p.m. Eastern. So
I'm surprised you didn't mention Marco Fabian, like to keep it somewhat recent.
what was his nickname, Joel?
Whose nickname? I'm sorry.
Marco Fabian's nickname.
Oh, he didn't have like a clever nickname like that. But
That's unfortunate.
they would do memes where when he went to Cruz Azul unknown, and he's like, "Yo traigo las copas," but you have a. Sounded they were referring to the beer bottles and stuff.
That's great.
But Fabian that was another one that was getting it, party all the time. Yeah, if he had the name, I've never heard it.
Did you just quote
Eddie Murphy?
That's
okay.
That's a good song, man. Eddie Murphy and James Rick James.
Tigres did win, so I do have to just give a.
No le voy a discutir con usted.
Just a little Tuca love. So good for this. So that's gonna be the final. It's gonna be Tigres against America. Now Tigres was in the final last year, and they laid an egg. I'm sorry, Tigres Pachuca. They were in the final last year against America, and they flat out laid an egg against America, and it wasn't even a contest. They just were flat. They were never in it, and America won it going away. I don't think that's going to happen this time, but it is going to be a very interesting matchup. Now, equally as interesting, of course, is the Copa MX final. Joel, Chivas is going to play Morelia. It's the West Side Derby in Mexico. The two West Side teams going after it. I think that Fernando is right. I think that the Chivas is on the verge of having a Copa MX Campeonísimo.
Speaking of,
because this would be two in 2 years.
2 in 2 years plus the Super Copa, which will make it 3.
Wow!
And then they will get to play another Super Copa, which could take them to 4.
Doesn't that make it worse though?
Worse.
Doesn't that put? I just think that
It's always nice to have trophies in the cabinet, man.
I hear you, but I think ultimately it just makes the league that much more
No,
apparent.
I think we don't. I mean, it's not as prestigious, but it's also up to the clubs and to the fans to make it prestigious.
Now, Joel, I understand that you're, a pundit and a columnist, so you have a professional duty to keep up with uh, with current events. But for someone who, for whatever reason, doesn't watch Chivas probably as much as he should, and
I was watching them right now, John. Come on.
okay, I understand you're watching right now, but what I'm saying, and then all of a sudden, did you watch the game? No, and then just be able to just rattle off these amazing statistics. It just I'm starting to think, Joel, that you have a song in your heart, Joel, and it's getting louder and louder. I think it's I think that you're starting to believe is what it sounds like to me. I think that you're becoming a believer again.
It's moving.
Yeah.
No, it was there, man.
You have eaten some mango, is what it sounds like to me.
No, it's just knowing the Liga and how the Liga works. I mean, and I've told some of the fans, Chiva fans, and they don't like this, but I'm like, this team reached the semifinals a few years back, you know? And so for me, I would hear like how
They don't
well
like to hear that because
how well
it inevitably it tarnishes or puts a
yeah,
cloud on throws shade on what Almeida's done.
exactly, and they'll say, oh, how well the team is doing or how good they're playing. I'm like, they still haven't matched what was already achieved.
Do you think it's the style, the way they play, the style?
It is.
Is that why they're more willing to accept?
No, yeah, it is a very attractive style, and I said this quote many times from Tata Martino, and he said it when Almeida was at Banfield. He's like, I really like how the team plays. Too bad they never win, you know. And he meant titles, not matches, and that's sort of how it's been. They haven't been able to win a league title, but I think they're one of the more attractive teams to watch in the league.
Let me throw some more shade though. Cruz Azul lost to Morelia, right? And
Right.
Cruz Azul had a ton of opportunities on goal, a ton of shots, and I think Morelia might have had one, and they capitalized in on the game. I'm looking at the highlights now for the Monterrey Chivas game. Monterrey had plenty of shots early in the game, plenty of opportunities to score like three goals, 2 or 3 goals pretty easily, and they passed them up, and Chivas came out with the win. So I think we have a mediocre cup with 2 level teams that passed.
Yeah, but it's just I mean, yes, I mean the tournament is what it is. There's no question. But you play them to get your guys some time, and then in the deeper rounds you start playing them with your regular team. It's how that's how those tournaments work. So I mean, whether
it squeaked by.
I mean, but but the reality is, Chiquis, is that Morelia is playing better than Cruz Azul is right now. They're scratching and clawing their way through the descenso, and and winning the descenso for them would be absolutely huge if they could avoid it, because their 2 worst years fall off the books. So that makes them, I mean, that is, reason enough to hopefully, to see if they can pull it out.
Do you think this Chivas, the final of the Chivas Morelia game is close?
Well, I don't think it's going to be anything to go to the Minerva and scream about, which will happen if they win. By the way, let's just leave it at that. But
because one would expect,
I mean, it's still. I mean, let me tell you. You don't think? Do you think Univision? I mean, Univision would have been happy either way with Chivas or Monterrey, but I guarantee you they'd be a lot happier having Chivas in it than Monterrey. So I mean, they draw eyeballs whether we like it or not.
I would just expect Chivas to go and beat Morelia 2-0 or more. I doubt that's going to happen. I think it'll be a close game.
Well, it's a cup final. Yeah, it's a cup final. It's going to be, it'll be. And I'll be honest with you, I couldn't tell you one guy from Morelia right now. I have no idea who's on that team.
They have Ruidas, the striker.
Is Fantasma Figueroa? Does he still play for them?
A Chileno.
Didn't Luis Gabriel Rey play there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. I just.
You know what?
Yeah,
I always forget his name.
Peruvian striker Rui Diaz.
Rui Diaz.
The ex Santos.
I said Rui
The
Diaz.
ex Santos midfielder.
Chato.
Chato, yeah.
Chato plays for Morelia. He's still in the league.
I think he's still there. Yeah.
God bless him. Does he still take their penalty kicks? He should have been.
And their free kicks probably.
On La Volpe's team, only because he could take penalty kicks.
He was good, man. He's just small, but he was good.
Yeah, I guess that's why they call him El Chato.
No, he was good, man.
But his free kick skills were.
But I actually do think he's actually probably starting for them.
Really? I always had a bad taste in my mouth about Chato because I always thought he was one of La Volpe's consentidos, and he would always be terrible on the national team.
I just checked. Sorry to interrupt, Yon. I asked Google. He is El Juanpi Rodriguez is indeed playing for them. He's on loan.
Wow. Well, there you have it. The
and Luis Gabriel Rey is still with them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought I had seen them. Okay.
How does America still own him? What kind of contract did they give him?
He doesn't start though. I mean, he didn't even play in the Chivas game. The last Chivas game.
Well, come on, dude. He's there for the league games, man.
He's 37.
The league game, the last league game.
See, Morelia is one of those teams when the Liga MX weekly schedule comes out and you're looking at it, to see which games they're always playing Jaguares or Veracruz or Puebla. See, like those four teams play each other. There's always one of those matchups every week. I mean, they're constantly playing each other. I don't have
Do you think it's fair to say that collectively, by and large, everyone wants Veracruz to go down out of all the teams?
Well, karmically speaking, you're probably right. I think that the league probably wouldn't mind it so much.
Because I look at Morelia and I'm like, I don't want to see them go down. I'm a bit of a nature lover and I love monarch butterflies. So any team that's brave enough to rock monarcas as their mascot, then I'm on board. But then you have Jaguares.
Well, I think the Chiapas fans, although they played Pumas over the weekend, and the stadium was full, but it was not full because people were there to see Jaguares. They were there to see Pumas. It was like 80-20 Pumas fans.
Oof.
But it was full, and their stadium seems to always be full. Whether it's if they're there to see the home team, the visiting team, I like that in Liga MX. I like in Veracruz.
Well, the coach and the keeper. You don't want to see them go down.
No, I agree. So I guess to be honest with you, I'm kind of with you. And then let's face it. I mean, you can't have Cabezon Lunas coaching Veracruz right now because I think Reynoso got sick, and I'm sure that he got the message that Veracruz was not going to be in the first division anymore after this season, and he got quote unquote sick, and he's not coaching. So who do they bring in? Of course, but who else would it be on the America's proxy team? And El Cabezón Luna comes in and steers the ship until the inevitable imploding, which will happen at the end of the season.
We'll see, man. I mean,
with all that, they beat Cruz Azul 3-1 in an empty stadium.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible.
That just crap. I mean, when the game started, and I just happened to catch the open, I was like, "Man, this stadium's." And I didn't realize it was because they were vetados for, and this was they were bitching about, we can't have our crowd not here because we're in the middle of the censo, and they played their best game of the year in front of nobody.
I remember seeing the score and thinking, like just typical of the league. Every time you start thinking like, all right, this team, and then like they go ahead and lose like to the worst, to like the one team. Come on, like something like that. Like that's
Right.
just a perfect example
Or
of
León
Liga
beating
MX.
Tigres last week.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
someone wants to say something about that.
We got a caller?
Que nadie dude de eso. Resultados, sí, horribles. Horribles. Pero nada más. No permito a nadie que dude de ninguno de mis jugadores, porque cada partido demuestra que merece vestir ese escudo.
He was going off on some reporter that was telling them that they're a failure, and he didn't want to admit it.
You're a big fan, weren't you, or are you?
I was sort of hopeful. I guess it was like what John and I think Joel was talking about earlier is the Spaniard, the Spanish guy to come rescue us all.
Well, that's not how Joel and I put it, but
Yeah. Good alternative facts from Cheeky.
yeah, exactly. I think what we said was that the guy gets a pass.
Oh, okay.
He gets a little more more rope because of the fact that he is not necessarily Spanish, just European.
Oh, yeah,
Then other coaches would never.
It's like Americans with English accents. We just assume they're all geniuses.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that Ojames thing and how I was saying for Cruz Azul and seeing what they're going through and how long they've been going through. For me, their best bet would have been someone that's proven commodity within Liga MX that is known to get results. I was actually hoping for Chepo to end up at Cruz Azul, which, just given that, his cousin was there, but he ended up at Santos. And
Joel, just out of curiosity, your name isn't like Joel de Jesus, right? Was it Joel Eduardo?
It is Joel Eduardo.
Joel Eduardo Aceves de la Torre.
No, not de la Torre.
No de la Torre.
Hey, I have great respect. De la Torres are
in La Torre.
I kind of disagree with you though, man.
They're football royalty, huh?
I disagree in the sense that at least if I was thinking like we need to start like from the ground up and just build and on a long-term project.
But you can't do that though. You're Cruz Azul, man, and you got 20 years of not winning. You can't do no ground up stuff.
Well, see, that's where I disagree. I do think as long as you avoid relegation, you've already been losing. No one's expecting you to win. Everyone's actually expecting you to lose.
I'm gonna tell you something though, Dan.
So hold on. So I'm just saying that as far as like just the coaching pick, I personally think someone like John's boy El Jimmy would be kind of cool to go with, like someone who's young and eager and ambitious. I think that knows the league. So someone that the players would respect, someone that the players that could relate to as well.
El Piti Altamirano would be a great. He's coaching. I think he's in Querétaro's youth system actually.
That's where I think if you want to think long term, but I do think that like even though this guy is not panning out so far, I still think firing him would be a bad idea.
No, but I'm gonna tell you the thing about Cruz Azul. They went from losing finals to not even qualifying to the Liga.
Yeah.
So that's where there's the urgency because
the problem
at least they were fighting for championships. Now they don't.
Cruz Azul le puso todas las canicas in a handful of players, and those players got old and they haven't replaced them.
Yeah, they took a long time to replace them.
What was it Chaco, Chelito?
No, like Torrado.
And Torrado. And Castro and some of the other. I mean, some of the what's his name, Fausto Pinto and
man, that guy, I don't know, man. I hated that guy.
He was good.
I didn't like him. I was not a fan.
He was.
I don't know why. I didn't like him.
Jeez, damn.
Yeah, I was just like,
What did the Señor Pinto ever do to you, man? You just
I don't know, man.
trashing the guy. That's Gacho, man.
The other one who bothered the hell out of me too was Pineda. Although I love him as a pundit,
I never thought that he had earned it.
I hated him on the national team.
I mean, well, I know why. Well, I didn't hate him, but I knew that if he was playing, then Guardado wasn't, and that really bummed me out. Because I thought that Guardado, because that was Guardado had that wicked shot, and I mean, and that to me was reason. You know how like America has Mickey Arroyo just because of his free kicks. That to me was it was worth having Guardado on the field to just because of his shot back there, because it was so good.
Well, and back then he was like just a terror on the wings.
Yeah, absolutely.
The guy would just like, I mean, just always just beat his defender and send in really dangerous crosses.
I thought that he would be like a Mark Overmars type, but
he's had a hell of a career though.
Yeah, he's I mean, he's been a national. He's probably, other than Rafa, been the guy that's been on the national team the longest. Because he started in I guess in late 05 or early 06, and he's been on the team ever since. 11 years is a good, and still starting. And
he's been like a man. I'm trying to think of a player who's had his position on lockdown longer than him.
Yeah, and to think that when Piojo was picking his team, Andres Guardado wasn't even on his radar, and Andres ended up playing a different.
He's literally, man. If you think about it, because he's been there a lot more than Rafa, actually. At least in recent years, it seems like. Because Rafa's a part-timer.
Right.
Or he's gone through his little hiatus. Right. I mean, Guardado's just been there forever.
But remember that that before the 2014 World Cup, I mean, there was the chances of him going were greater than him. I mean, of him not going were greater than him going, and he had that great game against Nigeria that ended up being 0-0, where he busted his ass. I mean, you could tell that he knew that it was a tryout, and he just killed it. I mean, he didn't score anything like that, but he had just a terrific game, and he just showed just a ton of heart. Because I think that was in the middle of him having a really rough time with Valencia, because they were playing him out of position. He just wasn't equipped to handle the position. I think they had him as left back, and he's not a left back at all. I mean, at the very least, he was a carrilero, but he was a midfielder, and he had that great game with against Nigeria and Atlanta, and then Piojo ended up with him and Herrera and Gallito in the midfield, and they were, it was as good a midfield as Mexico's had in a World Cup in a long time. All three of them just had terrific World Cups. So yeah, he's definitely earned his keep on the national team, and I mean, I understand why he gets the captain's armband when Rafa's not there, because he's the old guy that's been there the longest. It's and he's only 28, 29, which is just crazy.
I do think he's kind of past it though.
Yeah,
but that's all right.
But he and then did you see how he miraculously was able to recover and play for PSV when he got back to Europe? So he had the.
Didn't that happen to Gio also?
Yeah, they both had. Well, Gio actually did get hurt. He did have the FIFA virus. Well, I mean, supposedly he didn't come out and play the second half of the game. So that'd be a very elaborate ruse if it was. But Guardado, gets hurt in the practice session, and then doesn't play. Yeah, it was. But Jonathan played now. I know you're a big fan of Jonathan. Apparently yesterday he was injured in his game, but apparently it was just a strain. Nothing was torn or ripped, and it was in his hamstring area, which is good news for folks who. I mean, if you saw the Twitter right after it happened, I mean, you thought that he. You guys ever seen North Dallas 40? The 70s movie about a professional football team. Well, there's a scene where the running back is having hamstring problems, but the coach needs him to play, so he tells the doctor, give him the injection. and so he and he was one of these guys that like just refused to think that kind of stuff. Like he didn't know how to react. He was like it's my body, I can't do that. But it's a business. So he takes the shot, and then like halfway through the fourth quarter, toward the end of the movie, like he comes up, pulling up his hamstring, and of course he just gets crushed by a player and knocked out the whole bit. And I'm not saying that's what happened to Jonathan, but apparently Jonathan looked like he was, just like a hamstring. It just snapped in two, the way people were describing it. But it turns out it was just merely
maybe he's so injury prone that he tends to maybe like
over exaggerate.
Yeah, maybe he's just extra cautious when he feels something that. Maybe he's a little extra protective once he feels something not quite right.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised, man. He busted his ass in that game in Mexico City. I mean, there's no question he was the guy that ran the most.
I pulled my Achilles tendon getting out of bed 4 or 5 years ago. 5 years ago.
I got you one better, but go ahead, continue.
And every morning, I think about it when I get out of bed. Yeah. I'm conscious of it. Even the first thing I wake up, that's what I think about when I'm actually getting out of bed. Is be careful.
I pulled my Achilles tendon celebrating Rafa's goal against Argentina when they were playing in Leipzig.
Oh.
And it still hurts.
Imagine if they had won, it would be like such a great war story.
Yeah, it happened in the cozy comfort of my own house. That's my war story. Wow.
It's unfortunate.
Yes, it is. I wish I had a better story, but that's how it happened.
You walked around in a boot for several weeks?
No, I didn't walk around in anything. It just just hurt myself.
Oh yeah.
That's not as bad as when I was at Lake Travis. This was a couple years later, and I was wearing huaraches that have the stuff I never wear, the thing that you stick between your toe, the big toe and the rest of them.
Yeah, I got you.
And I was going down the steps, these concrete steps in Lake Travis, and the lake was a little low, so it was like step. Well, my huarache popped, and I slipped, and I ended up going down 8 steps on my bottom, and I'm pretty sure it broke my tailbone, and my tailbone, I think it took about 6 years to heal. Yeah, so that was very unpleasant. And I had to fly to San Diego like 2 days later. It was the worst flight of my life.
Serge has a comment for you guys.
Oh.
If you want to check it out. Hey, going back to Cruz Azul though, here's a scenario. You have two players that come into the league into Mexico to play, foreigners. One goes to Pumas and one goes to Cruz Azul. Calteruccio, whatever his name is, and Nico Castillo. Pumas and Cruz Azul, 2 teams that are not like the hugest, but Nico Castillo does excellent. And the guy that goes to Cruz Azul.
I'm going to have to stop you right there. Cruz Azul spends about 10 times more money than Pumas does, but go ahead. Continue.
Well, yeah, that's apart from what I'm saying though. I'm saying that two players come in, they aren't like huge players, but the guy that goes to Cruz Azul ends up sucking it up and being called Quemado and all this stuff. So it's there's like a curse or something, man.
Well, I mean, it sounds like it's just spreading throughout the entire organization. They go through this about every 5-6 years or so, and then they'll make the moves. And honestly, when they got, remember there are a couple of moves that normally you would think that seemed to work out for Cruz Azul, but this one didn't. Was when they got was it Aldo Leal from Morelia? Is that the guy's name? Who was just terrific with Morelia, and then they may have gotten the other guy too. Jefferson Montero. I can't remember if they got both of them, but I know they got out, and he just never really panned out, and it never really worked out for him. And it seemed like they haven't really recovered from that. They haven't found the guy to build a team around, and that's why it's just shocking to me that Chaco still plays as much as he does, because he's just not. I mean, that's not what he should be doing right now. They should be doing with somebody 10 years younger. I love Chaco to death. Don't get me wrong, but
I completely agree. I think it's sad that they're actually depending on somebody of this age.
Exactly. I mean, it's just it's got to be hard on him too. I'm sure that he's just dying inside, giving it his all.
Well, just think about it. I mean, he's only going to get worse. So how much? And if the whole team is centered around him, how much better can the team get?
Exactly. It is an unfortunate situation for Cruz Azul, but they can make some moves and changes for the next season that could end up working out really well. Now, Joel, it seems like all of these moves that haven't panned out have a certain family member's fingerprints all over this. Maybe not everything they touch turns to gold.
You're talking about
I'm talking
Yayo de
about
la Torre.
Yayo.
Well, he's only been there one season now, so
Yeah, but he was the one that brought in the coach and brought in all these extra players. See, and that's the other thing. Mid-season changes like that, never like they hardly ever work.
that they do some good. The Chileno guy, he's a midfielder. I'm reading his name right now. He's a really good player. Cruz Azul. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No, and see, and that's the problem, Joel, is that Cruz Azul doesn't have that one referente that that's Cruz Azul. They just don't have that. When the guy is still Chaco, there's a problem.
No, I mean yeah, because that was from all the bad movements they made.
I mean, think of how many players. I mean, Aquino left. Then that didn't work. The one that was a real killer, and it wasn't by any fault of their own. I think that this goes to what you've talked about in the past, Joel, was that kid Martin Galvan that in all the years of reading Tim Vickery, he hardly ever mentioned like young prospects. Once in a blue moon, he mentioned a Mexican player. It was the first time I ever saw him mention a Mexican player. Was when he mentioned Martin Galvan. He said this kid is a special talent, and then whatever it is that he did, and then where he got suspended. I'm sure that we can come up with a few things that could have possibly happened.
He was inviting lady friends to his concentration camps with the youth national team as well.
Right.
You would organize.
I guess my thing is I don't necessarily think the fact that he was inviting lady friends was the problem. I think it was particular lady friends that he was inviting. I think was what the problem was.
Yeah.
But
well, the player I was thinking about is Martin Rodriguez. So he's one
that I'm thinking about, or that you're thinking about.
No, me for Cruz Azul of the players brought in.
Never even heard of the guy.
He's a top prospect in Chile, so he might not be in this. I guess for the next World Cup cycle, he should be fighting for a spot in the team.
For Chile, but he's with Cruz Azul right now.
Yeah, he was Colo, and he was one of the top-rated players. And
but
he's 22. He's 22 right now.
Is he playing well for Cruz Azul yet? Is he playing at all for Cruz Azul?
No, yeah, he's playing. He has.
All right.
He has a couple games.
Pájaro Benítez has been the main player for the past year or so, who's been good. But now that they mix in this other new dude, Cauterucho
Quemado,
sort of like messes up his game. And Benítez, you don't hear from him at all.
Yeah, it's Martin Cauterucio, but they call him Carterucho Quemado. Cartucho Quemado.
Right.
So
yeah, too over there. He was doing good for Santos, wasn't he? He was like the corner king and stuff.
Yeah, and Carterucho 8 games, 0 goals. I think he's only scored in the cup.
In Copa MX is the only time
he scored a hat trick.
Same as Pulido. Pulido, sorry.
Well, Pulido does have 4 goals in the league, but he's not going to be the líder goleador. It's going to be.
Is that the 20 million?
The Chilean player that Pumas hit the jackpot on, and Nico Castillo, who's been terrific. But now, Chiquis, you and I have been watching Pumas all season. He's been good since the first game, because I think you and I both when we saw that game, we're like, wow, this guy's got something, and he was so he came in guns blazing, and he hasn't really stopped.
And he's a big dude like Cauterucho also, so they're similar and
yeah, he's and I want to say he earned a call. He was another one that came back with with the FIFA virus. Although he got it playing instead of before he played. But he's been terrific. Obviously, he's a líder goleador with 8 goals, and he's got Pumas in the Liguilla hunt right now, which Franklin is a Pumas fan with how things go. It's all you can ask for at this point. We as Pumas fans, we understand and appreciate what it is that we're trying to do, and to me, sometimes I think Liguilla is plenty, and if you get stuff beyond that, then it's great, and this seems to happen more often than not, especially if they get some of the special ones. But that's a discussion for another day. But they did beat Jaguares 3-0, and Chiquis, you said that you did not cambiar gatos at one point throughout the entire match. You stayed true to your Pumas.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I was surprised to see Gallardo score too. He played real good.
Yeah, he did. He reminds me a lot of, remember that guy Fernando Morales that was I think it was El Zurdo Morales that was just really good, but just constantly injured, and he just ended up, they just had to give it because he could not stay healthy. Gallardo reminds me of when Morales was healthy and played well. He played just like Gallardo did. So hopefully we'll get to see a guy develop his career, because you're right, he's pretty talented. I did not realize some of the stuff that he can do. I know that against Tigres he had in the Champions League, he also had some long runs where he had like a 30-40 yard run where he was able to weave through guys and shoot, but he didn't score. But he did that I think in the last goal that he got, or I guess the second goal was a goal that was similar to that, where he ran through like 3 or 4 guys and then shot and scored. So yeah, hopefully things will work out for him.
Another thing to
Now,
mention.
what do you think, Cruz Azul? Go ahead, Chiquis.
Yeah, real quick. Over the weekend, the Avilés Hurtado goal, and apparently he's like naturalized Mexican or something. We're calling for him for the national team. But that goal, that Chilena he scored, that was pretty slick, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it was good, but he has to meet FIFA's rule of living in a country for 5 years before they consider nationalized players. So he's not eligible.
Okay.
And he wouldn't be eligible until 2018, and I'm not sure what date follows, if it's early 2018 or later. But right as of now, he is not eligible. But it was a fantastic goal. It was a Chilena goal. For those of you who have seen, it's probably the best goal easily the best goal of the season, probably best goal of the 2 seasons. It was a really terrific goal. He just took it from the air on a corner kick, right into the corner of the net with a Chilena. It was fantastic. It was a really, really nice goal. That was a crazy game too. That 3-3 Tijuana Atlas game. It was very entertaining. Atlas, unfortunately for them, they are kind of the opposite of Morelia, where they've had some very mediocre seasons where, like, I think it was like 3 or 4 where they didn't get to 20 points. But they've been propped up by their last the last 2 seasons and the that they used to consider the porcentaje, where they had a 30-point season and a 29-point season. Those are going off the books, and then they have a bunch of 16, 17. So they are going to be plunged into the descenso. Atlas is, because of that fact. So they really need to get as many points as they possibly can in this tournament to help them kind of keep afloat, because otherwise they're going to be in trouble next year for sure. So that's something to keep an eye on. Joel, are you still bullish on Veracruz to stay up, or do you think that now that Maestro is no longer coaching, you don't necessarily have that same interest to root for them?
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of stuff going on, and the owner, I think, is Cudi, seems more interested in running for mayor of Veracruz. So there's a lot of extra cancha stuff going on. I'm not totally aware of. So I did lose faith.
Do you think it's going to ultimately send them? But the thing about Veracruz, though, is that they'll just buy another team, and they'll for whatever reason, the Liga MX just seems to love having teams in Veracruz. So And it's really good for the league because they have one of the coolest nicknames in all of sports. The
They
Tiburon
do,
Rojos.
though.
Yeah.
And a great history in the stadium with you know, el Pirata. What's it?
Luis Pirata Fuente.
Luis Pirata Fuentes. The mules cut up to me, Yon.
How many mules did you have, Joel?
Just two, but the amount of vodka was pretty generous. But Fuente was one of the first Mexicans to go abroad, and he played in Spain. He played in Argentina. You know, he was one of those. He was one of our top players from back then.
Right.
He just wherever he went, he could, you know.
And Veracruz has won titles too.
So that's one player that I would forget. You know, there's a stadium named after him, and a lot of Mexico fans probably don't know too much about him. So hint, John, maybe
yeah,
an article should be done. You know,
about Luis Pirata Fuente.
Yes, good Sir Fuentes, man. And but yeah, that's one team who's been mismanaged for a long time. I mean, since I've been watching them, they have been yo-yoing from second division, first division.
They have been, and that's one thing I also noticed about Veracruz is that they don't seem to do it as much before, but it was always like the soft landing for America problem coaches and problem players, or just players that they need to, you know, keep an eye on for whatever. I mean, even Cuauhtemoc ended up playing in Veracruz for a season or two.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. In one season with Veracruz, Cuauhtemoc took him to super leader. In that.
Right.
I was just thinking, what if Cuauhtemoc would have went to Cruz Azul? Could he have lifted the curse from Cruz Azul and taken them to some type of glory? Only Cuauhtemoc.
Man, why did Cuauhtemoc go into politics and not coach? Man, he would have been a terrific coach.
Yeah.
That would have been.
Maybe he's looking out for his little homies from Tepito. His little, he's looking out. Okay. Trying to improve things for people.
Right. The other thing about Veracruz, you know, people also have to understand is that it's a very old city, and they have, you know, believe it or not, it's a port city as well. So it is a city that has a little bit more cash than other places. So they have folks that have the ability to purchase teams pretty easily and regularly, and we've seen that. So it would not surprise me at all, even if Veracruz does go into the second division, that they somehow miraculously make it back and are back in first division. But best part about them, at least for me, are the shark themed numbers on the backs of their jerseys. Last season they had like little shark bites and some of the numbers, and then this season they have like the gills. If y'all didn't notice, they have like the three lines that look like gills. They have those in their numbers, which I think is just it's a nice little design touch to remind folks, you know, who they are. I do.
I didn't notice that.
I do like that. Now, Dan, Santos won 1-0. They finally got off the schneid. They did not give up the late goal, and they've thrust themselves back into position. No, should I ask Joel or should I ask? No, I'll ask because I know we have the man who's keeping a close eye on Santos as well. But we'll ask Dan. Dan is.
Oh, Dan headed out.
Dan headed out.
Yeah.
Oh, so he did. I was looking at our chat page. And you know, Rafael de Leon says what kind of what we've all been echoing is that it's been ages since Cruz Azul signed a good foreign player that hadn't already played in Liga MX, and you know, maybe it was Lucho Figueroa, Joel, and Chiquis was their last real good foreign player that they signed that hadn't been playing in the league.
Could be. I don't really keep tabs on that team though, John.
Yeah, that's not. It's Cruz Azul is not on your radar, Joel.
They used to be. Now it became like a meme.
For the lols.
You just watch for the laughs. Just the fans meltdowns and all that.
So you like Cruz Azul because of the train wreck aspect of it?
No, that's just where it got to for me. But I used to. I went when they were in the Libertadores. I was following that team. I had to go pay to watch them in the final with Boca. That's that's when you still had Circuito Cerrado.
Right. Who was the real famous fan of theirs that made the rounds last year? What was her name?
Lady Cementera, Lady Máquina.
Hey, here we go. Well, there were two of them. There were competing.
Yeah, there's two.
Competing ladies. I'll have to see if I can fire that up. Well, I mean, honestly, I sure hope that they get it going again, because they're a, to me, they're a historic team. They're a team that has traditionally been extremely strong and have consistently, we always laugh and make fun of them for losing out on finals and stuff. But the fact is that they've made, you can't lose a final without playing in it. And they've played in a whole bunch of finals over the past 10 years. Maybe not recently, but they have played in them. So that to me is a team that because of the fact of its history and its tradition, it makes the league better when a team like that plays well. So hopefully they'll get it going again. But it just seems like they have a hard time getting that going with their player personnel moves and front office moves and coaching moves. Nothing is going right for them.
Todos merecemos este equipo y no nos merecen como afición. Porque uno no se lo merece.
So we're having dueling Lady Máquinas right now.
That's the other one.
That's the other one. This is Lady Cemento. That's awesome. That's awesome stuff.
Hey, speaking of that, remember when? Oh, I think it was a Chivas fan when he was crying and hitting the wall. They're saying, "Look at your son." I forget what they were saying. That was hilarious. They're like, "Yeah, well, yeah."
That was one where a Cruz Azul fan was burning his shirt, and the Chivas fan is walking by, whistles at him, and it was. There was actually I don't know if did I post it for y'all today. When Chaco was being interviewed, I guess when they got back from the airport this morning or last night, and you see this mob of people interviewing him, and there's a dude holding an America scarf behind him. It says "Odiame más." It was fantastic. It was exactly what you would want from.
Hey, we got a call from California.
We have a caller. Is that correct, Chiquis? Wait, we do have a caller. Who has graced us with their presence here this evening? Thank you very much.
It's Sergio.
Sergio, how are you, sir?
Yeah. I'm doing well. Yeah. How about you guys?
We're doing well as well. Thanks very much for calling. Sergio, do you have a question or comment? Or
no.
Do you have an opening tirade that you want to get off your chest?
Oh yeah, I do.
You do? Okay.
So Joel had like how many mules did he have? 2, 3?
He said he had 2, but he said that they were very liberal.
Solo dos. Con Diablo.
Where'd you get them?
No, I made it myself. They're easy to make. Just 3 ingredients.
I don't know, man. I'm just a little bummed about not being invited.
Well, I'm in my room though.
You can invite him there, man.
You can.
What's the problem?
Pour him a drink.
So where? You're in your room.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I could have done that.
Put a little music on.
Candles.
Light a candle.
Little Barry White. Set the mood.
Barry White actually hung out in a park right by my house.
Yeah.
51st in Avalon.
Like I don't know if this comparison works with the Liga MX, but you often hear about big market teams. When big market teams do well, then it's good for the league. Like when big market teams in the NFL or big market NBA teams do well, then it's just good for the NBA because people are engaged, people watch. And I don't know if that's, could you apply that to Liga MX? Like if Cruz Azul, like historic teams, right? Like
absolutely. There's no question.
Like if they do well,
the highest rated Liga MX game, at least it started rating games ever, was the final between Chivas and Pumas. Two massively popular teams. And then nothing's even come close.
Because you get bandwagoners. You get bandwagoners that want to go and be fans. Yeah. Like Tigres or America, whoever's doing good at the time.
See, I don't necessarily think it has to be like big market teams, but but popular teams, absolutely. There's no question. I mean, I think of the Packers in the NFL. I mean, Green Bay is a tiny market, but they are a massively popular team nationally. So yeah, I think it absolutely is better for the league when they have those teams, the popular teams, the teams that have more tradition, the teams that have more follow. It absolutely makes it better because obviously it's better business for the league, and it's it's teams that attract a lot of attention, not just to watch, but for schleps like us that like to talk about it. So yeah, I mean we talk about the same 4 teams every week. We might talk about some other teams here and there, but we'll talk about Santos just because Dan's on the show. But I mean everything else is.
Like my boy, man.
Yeah, so I mean we talk Pumas, Chivas. We talk Chivas and America practically more than anything, and it's so, I don't know if the word is ironic or just pathetic that after years of complaining about, man, all these stupid shows that we talk about are freaking Chivas and freaking America, that I'm on a podcast that we spend 50% of our time speaking about those two teams. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace, but it's what it's what the people want. It's what the people want. So we Joel, I think you said that we have to give it to him, right?
Gotta play the hit.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Also, like going on that topic, La Liga. You see, Johnny Rico always hate on La Liga because it's a coin flip for the champion, and that's sort of like a thing for that. Be competitive.
I sure hope that that blending is good.
Or something.
Or you make a pina colada? What's going on over there?
It sounds like Joel has graduated from Moscow Mules. He's now making banana daiquiris.
No, that's not me.
Oh, okay. But no, so do you think then, Chiquis, that the Liga MX has more reason to watch because of the fact that it's so open and then teams are so much more evenly matched? Or do you prefer to see a league where only 2 teams that dominate?
No, I think it's a positive because the positive that Serge is bringing up is that you have more teams that are bigger or more popular, like Tigres, Pumas. There's a handful of teams, whereas in La Liga, they have 2 superpower teams of the whole world. That's basically doing the league up.
Right.
You have the Atletico and things like that, but if Ronaldo and Messi weren't in that league, and Real Madrid and Barcelona champions, didn't went 3 and out, the equivalent of 3 and out in Champions League, and that league probably suffered pretty bad. I guess he wants to see just a coin toss for the winner when there's not the huge players out there. So I think Liga MX has the advantage there. Any league has the advantage that has multiple teams that are pretty good.
People were talking earlier about. I heard a lot of people talking earlier about Chucky and whether he should go. If he ends up going to Europe, where would his best landing place be? I don't think La Liga would be a good landing place. I think that the Bundesliga would be a much better landing place for him. I think the Bundesliga, because exactly of what you said. Yes, they have the super team, and that's fine. But I think the Bundesliga has come to accept the fact. Okay, so they're going to win the league. We're going to try and get the other places, and then that's where the competition is. Because I mean, it is talk about teams that go up and down in a league. More so than anywhere else. So then I would much prefer to see Chucky go to the Bundesliga than I would to see him go to La Liga. Absolutely. I think so anyway. I think it's just a better. I think that it fits the Mexican player better. I think it's a more attractive style of soccer.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and it might be because of Chicharito opened things up, and also towards like maybe the failures, not full-on failures, but the hard times Mexicans have had in La Liga. Like they haven't blown up like Chicharito has, and Massa, Pavel have.
Well, he had the one. I mean, he has not had a good season this season, Chicharito. I mean, he's been okay. And lately he's been injured. He's another one that came back with the FIFA virus. A lot of guys came back with the FIFA virus, but I personally believe that the Bundesliga as a whole is a very dynamic league. I think it's very entertaining. Any Bundesliga, I mean, even some of the lower level teams, it's just they just play a much more offensive version of soccer than you see anywhere else in Europe. It seems like just consistently. So that's why I think it's for young offensive players. I think that's a great place to learn. More so than La Liga. Just my personal opinion.
Yeah, and we saw Barcelona just rip apart Sevilla, coached by I think Juan's homie.
Yeah, where is Cambiara? He hasn't been on the show in like months. What is going on with him? Is he not good enough for us anymore?
I think it's soccer practice gets.
It's his work, John. He's been coaching.
You can't tell me that he's coaching 8-year-olds at 9:00 at night.
I think so.
No.
You think that he's just at 9:00 just riding these kids? Got to get better. Got to get at 9:00 at night making them do up downs and.
No, but I think that just means some of the other chores he has to do them after
Right. No, I
coaching
understand. Obviously, we love Juan, and he always brings some really good insight as far as like a coach's mind, which I really appreciate, and I wish
he's been missing since February, since that Mexico Molero.
Really? Oh, that's right. Joel, there's not more to that story, is there? Are you inviting us to pry?
No, that's just.
Or just a minor coincidence.
That's just coincidence, John.
I don't know. Maybe you guys got into just such a massive Chiva contra Chiva that it that maybe you beat him so bad in the Chiva contra Chiva that he hasn't been back.
No, Chiva contra Chiva. We won't really know till like a year or two from now.
Wow. So you plant bombs that don't go off.
Pretty much, yeah.
For a year or two. That is, wow. That is interesting.
Yeah, because one of our main, where we disagree upon, where we disagree the most is Jose Luis El Güero Real. So he blames Real.
We haven't noticed.
So he blames Real for the lack of drop in quality of youth.
Because he thinks that Hans was the way to go.
And then Hans did bring valuable things, but Hans came in when the table was set. He wasn't at the team that long. If you look at his timeline,
right? He never was gonna be at the team that long.
And a lot of those youth players, a lot of that talent had been getting worked on for years. He didn't just pluck him out and then, put him to play. These guys have been competing for years. But anyways, Real he's at Toluca. So let's see how that works, and it's gonna take good 2-3 years. Is the same with the Pelado. I mean, Pelado, kind of Pelado too. Same with Almeida at Chivas, who's taken over the youth coaching. You know, so it's going to take a long time to see what the results are of some of those changes.
You know, I think we have another caller, perhaps.
Another caller.
Yeah, from Texas.
Another caller from Texas. It's fantastic. Where about in Texas are you calling from, and who are we speaking with?
Rafa.
I'm sorry?
Con Rafa, aquí en Oak Cliff, en Dallas.
En Oak Cliff.
Hey.
¿Y cómo se llama, señor?
Rafa.
Rafa de León, man.
Rafa de León calling from Oak Cliff. How's it going, Rafa?
Hey. A ver, my question is Tigres or Pachuca in the final. Digo, yo soy Tigres, pero pues not feeling good at all, you know?
No. I have a real good friend of mine is born in Chihuahua, lived in Monterrey for a long time. When I ask him, he says, "Soy Tigre, pero le voy a Rayados." Do you feel the same way?
No.
No.
Not at all.
So, as this is good that we have a Tigres fan on this. I don't think we've ever. This is our first Tigres fan. I think. You know, that's good for us.
Hey, here he is.
Oh, you broke it, Jerry.
So, congratulations, that's our first Tigres fan. We were talking earlier. Would a Tigres fan enjoy just making the Club World Cup or doing better than Monterrey at the Club World Cup? So would that trump them being there 3 times if Tigres makes the final or even wins it?
I think it would. Just because like Mexican teams have underperformed for so long in that tournament, you know? And
right.
It would just be a bragging point.
Now, you obviously watched the game tonight.
Yeah.
Your Tigres. Did it play out about as what you thought would happen?
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, I don't like Duca that much, to be honest. I feel like he's just if it wasn't for luck, he'd shit the bed in pretty much every final except for that Santos one 5 years ago.
Y usted no me va a decir qué carajo tengo que hacer.
How dare you, sir? No, please continue.
I really mean that, though. I mean, like he gave up a 3-goal like aggregate lead against Pumas. Like it took like a miracle, like a minute.
Hey, there was no way that he was gonna just walk out of a final against Pumas like that. He knew he had to make it interesting. He knew he had to pay his respects. But please continue.
Oh no, the deal with that final is that my wife still brings that up to this day.
But Tigres won, so what's the big deal?
Oh no, they won, but it's like I remember telling her, "Oh, I'm gonna watch like one half with my dad," you know, and like Tigres have this by the ass, and none's gonna happen. And I ended up staying there till like 11:30, and she was mad.
So let me ask you this: as a Tigres, I know that Tigres won the game, and I get that, and I respect that, and I have to deal with it. But after Pumas goes 3-3, right, and Lalo Herrera hits the post like in the minute 88 or 89 or whatever it was, you know what play I'm talking about? I think he ultimately gets red carded on it.
No, wasn't it like him like knocking in the Briseño? Or did he?
Well, yeah, he did. I mean, and it was a foul, but he was chasing a shot of his that actually had hit the post.
Oh yeah.
So when that ball hit the post, I'm just curious. I'm just curious what your reaction was. I mean, how high did your heart go into your throat when you saw that?
Like I thought, like okay, like it goes to extra time, and you know you can kind of like if you get the extra time, you can kind of settle things down a bit though. But it definitely rose the blood pressure.
So you're not a Tuca fan. Let's see. Alex, What was your first memory of being a Tigres fan? Or well, I guess I'll ask you what I ask everybody else. How did the Sorting Hat pick Tigres for you? Give us your Tigres history.
Yeah, it's just like spending my summers in like Monterrey and having like my cousins be fans. Like you're kind of like just kind of like grow into it.
Right. So they were the influence then.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, listen, we really appreciate the call. Thank you very, very much. Do you have any other question or comments before we let you go?
Man, like, I mean, I guess the one is going to be like about the Gold Cup. Like who, like in terms of strikers, who's going? Because I mean, it'll get here quicker than we think. I mean, like we're already in April and we're talking July. It's like 2 months out.
Well, Joel, I think that you probably have a pretty good idea who's gonna be the guys in the Gold Cup, don't you, Joel?
Well, they're going with a Liga MX heavy team.
Right.
Which is
but they said they're going to limit it to 4.
Hurtado guy.
But they're going to limit it from 4 to 4 players per team. Like you can only take.
Yeah, Pulido, obviously, Saldivar, those guys have been getting called up.
Yeah, so Chivas is going to get 4 players called up. So it's going to be Pulido and Saldivar. So those will be the strikers, right?
Yeah.
And then 2 more. So probably if Pizarro's back, it'll probably be him. And would the 4th one be La Chofis?
It could very well be. I mean, depending on the lineup, because he likes using Alanis, the defender.
Yeah, but Alanis will probably go to the Confed Cup. So he
really?
would be. Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Over Nestor Araujo?
I think they're both going.
Yeah, they were both on the call.
Yeah, they're both on. Yeah, they're both going. Alanis will be the he'll be the guy that comes in if someone is suspended, like in the 3rd game, he'll be the guy that comes in for that.
Hey, well, I mean, we got enough depth. I'm comfortable with whatever team they pull up.
That reminds me. I have a queja about the card rule in the qualifier. It has to be more than two cards to be suspended. It has to be at least 3 to get suspended for a game. 2 cards is way too little. I mean, it's something that's part of the game, and there's no reason you have to. I mean, in the professional league, what is it? Is it 5?
Yeah, I agree. 3.
Yeah. So 3. I mean, it has to be 3. I mean, if they're making these guys play 10 games, I think 3 cards is more than sensible.
Yes, especially when a lot of times you could get a card where the ref messed up.
Right.
It wasn't really a foul or merited.
Or if I mean, sometimes you gotta take a guy down. Who was it? Gallito in the Croatia game. He got a yellow card because it was a counterattack, and he had to, and he, and then that to me is just part of the game. And it's I understand sitting for him. I get that, but I mean, I think that. Especially in the World Cup, it's now 2 to the quarterfinals. That's insane. So anyway, that's just my little queja of the evening before we move on. So we do have this final. So it's going to be Tigres Pachuca in the CONCAChampions coming up. I would assume that Tigres would be the early favorite to win that. I'm sure Mr. De Leon would agree with us. Now, should I think that if Tuca doesn't get to go to the World Cup, then should the Club World Cup be a nice consolation for him? I think that's pretty reasonable. Let's say both. Okay, what team do you think would have a better chance of having a better Club World Cup tournament? Pachuca or Tigres?
No, I think Tigres. Tigres, just the overall experience.
because Pachuca will likely be without their key player, who would be Irving, who had a terrific game last night. I think that's and he took. They actually did y'all you didn't get to watch the game, Joel. They ran a package of how many times he'd been fouled in the game, like toward the end of the second half, and it was like 10 or 11 at some point. I mean, didn't it go about that high? Chiquis, you know what I'm talking about?
He would count them with his fingers every time he'd get fouled. He'd like hold up his hands and tell the ref, "This is how many times they fouled me." He was keeping track.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But he had a good game last night, and it was he got the 2 goals after FC Dallas had tied the aggregate score, and it looked like it was going extra time. They got one with 10-15 seconds to go in stoppage time. It was just it was an unbelievable finale for that. Just unfortunate for soccer fans that like seeing extra time like I do. I was hoping to see that, but that's how it worked out. And then Tigres won tonight with giving up an early goal, but then getting 2 second-half goals by Gignac and also by La Chilindrina, who came on again and just does what La Chilindrina does. And they won 2-1, and that'll be the final. So probably the 2 best teams in the tournament at the beginning are the 2 best teams in the end. And, that definitely beat the 3rd best team in the tournament, which was FC Dallas. So. Chiquis, are you gonna watch the now? See, now here I'm assuming, Chiquis, that you're gonna root for Tigres because it's one of your cat teams. So
yeah, and I have family that's Tigres fans, and they hate Monterrey. So yeah, I mean, I think it depends on how they'll do in this league, the next Apertura. Hopefully they don't run into they don't run deep in the league and have the same thing that happened in America. Maybe they get a little bit of rest or some rhythm, and good rest before going over there.
I think, Chiquis, that noise could only mean one thing, and that's that we have another caller.
He dropped off. That was him dropping off.
Oh, that was him dropping off. Oh, well, see, now I'm getting all excited, and people are dropping off. Okay, fair enough. Chivas plays Puebla, Joel. Do you even need to watch? Should we go ahead and put Chivas down on our quiniela?
Yeah. That should be a good win. Try to regain the super liderato that they lost to Toluca.
And one team we haven't talked about tonight. I was sitting there, pissing and moaning about us talking about who we haven't brought up America all night. And they had a big win over Monterrey, and they are right where we thought that, at least Joel and I thought, right where we thought they'd be. A slow start and building momentum. They got a big win, and
but you know what, America, and I think it's kind of eventually it might catch up to them. Just losing a player, who was it, Aguilar? They got banned for a year.
Yes.
And then their striker got injured.
But I believe the ban was lifted. And what a shock! No one is bitching about
it. Well, they took it to the TAS. But I do think it was exaggerated, especially since the ref didn't even write it down as a falta.
Right. I mean, there's no question. Yeah, I mean, it was.
But the ref in his report, he didn't.
Yeah, but he said that his report was changed.
Oh.
Okay. He said that his report had been altered.
See, that should call for. That's the real story right there, man. I mean, how did that happen? But it wasn't like he busted his nose or anything. So I do think he should be suspended, but here it's a bit ridiculous.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, but the rule said if you assault the ref in any way, then you're suspended for a year. It should be and it should be written as any altercation with the ref, whether physical or whatever, is subject to a penalty of a range from X to Y, based on the severity of the penalty, which will be determined by whatever. And then so something like this, you go, you know what, that was that. He did do something, but it was the most lenient one, so we're going to give him this many, and then everyone's fine. But the fact that it said black and white, you touch a ref, you're gone for a year. It was. I mean, that was the way that the rule was written, and all the refs were asking was, "Hey, man, follow your own rules." That's all they were asking. What I'm saying is that the rule was terrible. It was a stupid rule, and all the refs were doing was saying, "Hey, it's your stupid rule. You need to follow it."
Yeah, and I think this probably made way back when football, used to be way
Right.
rougher sport.
Exactly. So you're saying that when you're reading those rules, you should be reading it, holding your cup of tea with a pig. No, when you assault a referee, you are banned for a year. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, but football, used to be, especially going way back when there was no, there was no substitutions.
Right.
So he would end up with way less players, but it's come a long way since then. So I think that rule should have been changed.
Yeah, there's no question they need to amend that, and I'm sure that's something that will be addressed in the summer. Because I mean, let's face it, they're the ones that write the rules, so just change your own rule. That's all they have to do. So I'm sure that they will address that in their meetings between seasons.
Yeah, on America though, I never liked La Volpe, but after this season, and I'm loving him at America. And if he doesn't get signed on for the next season and to continue on, these guys are dumb. And I think they probably will dump him, but Pelaez or whoever's running America has been screwing things up, and La Volpe's been saving them every single time. Is what my perspective is.
I was watching one of the shows, and then they showed the shot of the guy who is the other man in charge, I guess the GM, whatever his title is, and he just how something you just look at somebody and you just get like an instant, you can do like an instant take on guys. Yeah, it was not. First impressions were not particularly good, but I can't remember what the guy's name is. See, it's too. Where's the Grandmaster? He has all the information, and he's not with us this evening.
He's playing an all-nighter.
Oh, is he?
I tell him.
I hope he's listening.
I don't think so.
We only asked for his ouster once. That's pretty good, don't y'all think? No, but we do miss him. We do miss his intimate knowledge of the history of the sport. He let us know exactly who we're talking about, because he unlike Joel makes no effort to hide the fact that he keeps up with his team.
I tried, John. I tried.
Joel hides behind a veil of shame. That he wants to act all tough. No, I didn't watch that. I have no idea what's going on with Chivas. And then we ask you a question, and you just give us the most, intimate details of how a team or a player. Just like, wow, this is pretty amazing for a guy that doesn't watch his team.
No, well, because I work and they play Saturdays, so that makes it difficult to watch the league games. They always schedule me right when they play. I go in at 4.
They have a jornada doble next week.
Hopefully, I'll get to watch. And I don't DVR because I just once I know the result, I don't care much. Not especially for like regular season games. I don't.
Well, you should have watched like the 4-minute the 4-minute recap on the YouTube.
Yeah, I should do that. But I'm about to change my telephone, John, and get that Univision app. And
That's right. Aren't you banned from downloading it? Didn't you upset Univision so much that they won't even let you use their app?
I'm just banned from Higuera.
Oh. Have you tried to follow him on with the Joel Twitter bot?
Chiquis has he has told me to do like a fake account, but I wouldn't do it just to follow that guy. I don't.
He doesn't post anything.
And do you think that he'll take full credit for Chivas' win if they win the title this year?
Yeah, of course he will. I mean, he he did help make a lot of those deals with Grupo Pachuca. You know,
Joel,
I mean, I think he does. He will deserve some credit. You know, some, not all of it, but some.
so you'll give him 45% of the credit.
Well, I mean, yeah, he did do some of the moves but people forget this team.
I'm sorry.
They were gonna sack. They were going to sack Almeida on 2 occasions. It's just that the coaches they approached turned it down, and
Right.
they both went on record. You could Google their names and Chivas, and you could find them giving interviews. Bucetich was one of them. He said he just didn't want to work with Vergara. He blamed Vergara for getting sacked from the national team. He said he was one of the people that was against him.
Man, Vergara was the reason we got into this mess.
Yeah, and then the other one was Sampaoli, who straight out said, I was approached, but I can't do that to a friend. He said Almeida was a friend, and straight threw Chivas under the bus. And then Chivas had to, go out and say that never happened, that it was an agent.
Right.
But I mean, if an agent's approaching them, that's because, something was obviously, the possibility was there.
Well,
so I mean, they ended up keeping Almeida, and then just the obvious continuity of having the team, but the whole Grupo Pachuca thing, and then all this money that's come down. I don't know how that's working out.
That is very interesting how they've been able to magically come up with some cash when they've never really felt the need to spend it before. Well, maybe now that the divorce was final, maybe that helped old Jorge loosen up the purse strings a little bit. But back to what you said about Vergara being the reason why Bucetich left the national team. Vergara was the reason why the national team ended up being the hell that it was because he was the one that led the charge to get rid of Hugo.
Yeah.
He had his Europeo lined up, and it just fell apart ever since. I mean, did Hugo miss qualifying for the Olympics? Yes, he did. Okay, his guys had 5-on-1s and couldn't score. That's Hugo's fault.
That one in that game, that's when Guatemala they lost on purpose.
Right.
And their own fans, I think they were playing Canada. Their own fans were cheering for the team against their team. And every time the Canada scored a goal on them, they were just going crazy. And I think the players were on it too because they knew that they could eliminate Mexico, and they were seeing it as payback. So that made things more difficult. Yeah, I remember writing about that. I said that to cheer against your own team is like cheering for your mom in a gangbang. That's how I saw it,
Well, I wouldn't put it in such colorful terms, but yes, that's about what I would have described as well.
And I just, I just can't do it, especially like that. Fatila's like 5-0 or something like that.
Go, Mom, go. Yeah, I mean.
Right there, man. They kept, and then when Mexico played Trinidad, Haiti, and they needed to win, and they came very close. Or were they like 1 goal away?
They needed to win by 5, and they won. And then they scored 4, and then Memo let one in. So they had to get 2 instead of the 1, and then they got the 1, and they missed the penalty. I'm telling you, they had like 4 on zeros.
Yeah,
and when we're missing the net.
They missed a lot of sitters, and that team had a couple players that were, like Landin, and I forget the America guy. His name was Santiago.
Santiago Fernandez.
And he had been in the Barcelona academy. So I mean, we had a couple players that just they were promising, and we were missing players as well because I think we could have had Gio.
Well, could have Giovanni Vela, all those guys, Chicharito.
Which were, we couldn't bring him in. Just bad planning on FMF part.
Actually, Chicharito was available. He was not selected.
What?
He did big though.
Well,
he wasn't.
Yeah, because he was with Chivas back then. So yeah, so
he wasn't playing though, was he? I don't think he was
wasn't.
one of the. He wasn't like known, but I think Bella and Gio were definitely one of the main players.
Right.
And yeah, that was just missing. That was I can understand the way the team missed it. I don't think it was to blame the coach, because as a coach, your job is to put the team in the position to succeed. And he put him in a very good position to succeed, especially in that main game. So at that point, it was the players that failed. You could say that he chose the players, but those were the best players we had.
Right. And not only that, but I mean, it wasn't just the ID game where they were missing. Where they were just shooting blanks. I mean, it was in all 3 games because they tied Canada and then they lost to Guatemala is what ended up happening. And but you're right though, Hood. I mean, it wasn't. As we're blending another banana daiquiri.
That's not me.
It was really at that point up to the player. But the point is, okay, so Hugo didn't make the Olympics. He wins his next game against Ghana in London, and then they fired him. And they fired him right before, their next 2 games was when World Cup qualifying was started. I mean, it was just, I don't know if it was a deal where they said, okay, let's just cut our losses now. I mean, he'd lost the final of the Gold Cup on a not a free goal, but a great goal, but a low percentage goal. He made it, 3rd place in Copa America with a completely different team. Just a few guys that played both tournaments, and then he loses the Olympic. Then and then he gets fired because of that. It's just very unfortunate. And then Vergara was the one that led the charge. And he was the start of this massive, colossal mess that was the national team coach for so long. They had to patch it up. Then pick a guy maybe that wasn't ready, at that point in his career, and they just made a hash of it. And now they've got who they got.
Yeah.
And so for Vergara to say that to Vucetich, it's like, dude.
No, but this one was with Chepo. You went one back, John.
Right, no, I understand, but you also said that that Vergara or Vucet didn't want to work with the national team because of Vergara, and it's like
no, when after Chepo got sacked, and then Tena took over for that one game,
right?
And I think they could have probably given him longer. He had won Olympic gold. So much for that.
Well, the thing was, I think that out of respect to Chepo, he actually wanted to step down because he was.
Yeah. So then Vucetich comes in.
But Chepo shouldn't have stood in his way. If like Tena comes, hey Chepo, they offered me the gig. Chepo should say take it.
Yeah, I don't think he said no though. I don't mean, but I just think they just didn't want anything associated with that group.
They wanted the stench, the Chepo stench, eradicated.
Yeah, because and then this is interesting because Cambiarrayas is he's become very anti-Chepo, but in regards to the Olympic team, he played a
Man.
role. He played a role in winning that, but of course he doesn't get credited. But Cambiarrayas knows the details on that.
But wait a second. When did Cambiarrayas go?
No, just for that.
Anti-Chepo.
Oh wow, back.
Really?
Yeah.
He was the biggest Chepo cheerleader I've ever. I mean, he would nonstop. Like
Second only to me, John.
He carried the De La Torre banner like a champ.
He did. No, but he went. But for the Olympics, he has some good details on the role he played, because it was a coaching group. It wasn't just Tena. It was a group
Right.
of coaches that were working on those teams.
See, but
a lot of people
Cambiarrayas
forget.
also thinks that Nestor should take credit for what happened in the Olympics because of, Nestor's big plan, which is basically 2 sentences. We're going to hire Mexican coaches. They're going to play the same.
No,
Wow.
but no, that's I don't want to get in that. I don't want to get in on that, John. But he did. He appointed a couple of coaches, and one of the things that would have happened if FMF was still following, I think, was Potro Gutierrez would have been coaching the Gold Cup team.
Right.
Because he could have used a lot of those youth players.
Because it had been the U20. I bet it would have been a U23. See, that's how they should treat the Gold Cup. They should just say, screw it. Let's just send the U23 team.
Well, especially on the years that
Right.
doubles up. But so, and then he tried to join. Potro tried to join Osorio's coaching staff, and he accompanied him, I think, to a game. But I guess he told him, you know what, you're not gonna get that shot. It's going to one of his assistants.
Right.
So one of his assistants is gonna be the one preparing the team for the Gold Cup. I forgot his name, Pumpilo, something like that. And he had coached before, but he's never won anything. So he's getting his big shot now.
Santiago Baños.
Yeah, no, he's assistant coach. Oh. No, this guy actually coached the team.
Oh, okay.
He just doesn't. He never won anything.
Yeah, so he's going to be the acting coach, and then like I mentioned earlier, they're going to limit. It's going to be strictly Liga MX squad, I believe, and or I should say, I don't know if it's going to be strictly, but of the Liga MX players that are selected, they can the maximum they can take from each team is 4, and I think it's pretty obvious that. See, that is so. I got to tell you that drives. If could you imagine if Spain had a rule like that and said you can only take 4 of your Barcelona players? I mean, if your best Mexican players are on one team and you have a tournament where you're allowed to, where have the opportunity to take, whoever you want to take, wouldn't they want to take advantage of that, or do you think 4 is more club friendly rule? And
they're doing it to be club friendly.
Do you agree with that?
I don't know, man. That's a hard call, John.
It's tough, isn't it?
It's a tough call because it can affect the clubs. It can affect, especially more than 4, and it'll be not just any 4. It's going to be your core group players.
Right.
And you have to think about injuries and rest. So all of that, it makes it difficult, to just pick sides because they both have valid points. And what team used to do that a lot, and it would affect them was America. For many years they would send a lot of players to the national team for a lot of the tournaments.
Yeah. Well, it also affected Pumas a lot, and if it affects.
Yeah, Pumas is another one. Yeah.
Well, I think that they're doing it just because of the timing of the tournament. It's going to end right before the season starts. So I mean, it would really. I mean, it's one thing if you're playing the Gold Cup right at the end of a season and you still have your 6 weeks or whatever to prepare for the next one. But to take that many players, I understand why they're doing it, and frankly, I think just because of the fact that of the timing of it is poor. I do understand that fact, but I mean it's but I do see the other side of it too. But we'll see how things shake out. But I do think that out of those four, I think that the Juarez, I think, would be the two strikers, and then it would be Pizarro, and then it could be at that point it could be a wild card. It could be La Chofis, it could be Gallito, it could even be the goalie, it could be Cota. So we will see how that plays out. One thing I do want to talk about before we wrap it up is that Martin had a Martin del Palacio wrote a column on Medio Tiempo about the two sensaciones. One of them who is a veritable sensation, and that's someone that we a way that we would describe a possible future crack, a 16-year-old who plays for America. Is it Diego Lainez? Is that his name, or is it Lainez?
I don't know the pronunciation, John, to be honest.
It could be Lainez for all we know.
Linus.
But we call him Linus. I believe that's what we call him, Linus from So we have him, and then we have La Chofis, and Martin said if La Chofis is so good, then why is he doing this at 22? Why wasn't he doing this at 17? They said, and then as an example, we have this Linus kid who has kind of the same abilities, but it's showing it at a much younger age. But Joel, I think that isn't that a way that you can recognize it is the fact that he is showing that at such a young age, as opposed to when you the way I trash your Carlos Fierro, you trash my Chofis.
What?
By when I bring him, say, well, he's like, John, but he's 22. Why wasn't he doing this when he was 18? Or why wasn't he doing this when he was 17?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, Chofis was raising a family at 18, that's why.
Well, yes, he had some responsibilities.
His kids needed to be old enough, so that's why he se puso las pilas.
They're saying morality and off the cancha behavior is important.
That counts. That's one thing we were talking about with John, how because Liga MX pays so well, you make enough money where some of these players they make a good living, which is good, which is good. But at that point, a lot of them lose motivation to do even better. Compared to like in South America, you could still be in a first division team, but you're still not making that much money. A lot of these guys come to Liga MX and automatically will make 3 times as much. And we're not even talking about like top players.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Martin and what he wrote up, because and this goes back to La Volpe again. La Volpe gave him a chance at his age, 16 years old. Who gave Chofis a chance at 16? You said he was.
Well, that's the thing. He was already, like, I forget the name, but it was this academy that signed him up because he was playing youth teams, and there was an academy that got his contract, and then they were shopping him to Chivas, and they didn't want him at first. But I mean, that's one of the things they look at is your mental attributes. Are you going to be a party guy, or how dedicated are you? And they kind of weren't there, man.
The advantage Linus in that aspect, and the up possibility for increase of skill as he grows older, and by age 22 he can be like a starter for the national team. He could be
even by 20 he could be a starter. A lot of the top players by 1920 they're already figures in their teams.
I mean
except in Mexico, we wait till they're 25.
Right.
They're even talking about his brother, Mauro Linus. He's talking about him being the replacement for Chucky when he leaves. I don't know if that's true, or
But I mean, and I'm saying we have more players like that. We just lack that football culture where we trust because like Alberto Medina, he debuted at 17. He was first division soccer at 17. You know, he's a very promising guy until he broke his leg. But there's a lot of players like that. We just don't. They just don't get the opportunities.
But like you said, Joel, they'll sign X number of foreign players and leave them on the bench.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there was a Medio Tiempo article a while back, and it was talking about how many players, how many foreigners haven't even debuted in Liga MX. And you know that it should be if you're bringing the foreigners because they have something to contribute. You know.
Right.
Goodness for La Volpe.
Well, La Volpe has, that's one thing that he did at Monterrey as well, and it's, it's good to see him doing it. It's not just, Linus that he's given the opportunity to; he's also given it to the Edson Rivera kid. Is that name right, or is that somebody different?
Edson Rivera.
Edson Rivera is from Atlas. Well, anyway, the other young kid that plays on their team, who plays midfield. So it's and they've been contributing. You know, and I've seen folks say, well, he's a teenager. That's like a last resort. I think it's great. I mean, if he's good enough, and he proved. I mean, he played Monterrey, and he proved that he deserves to be on the field. He made some pretty good moves. He didn't quite have like a full understanding of where his teammates are and stuff just yet, but he definitely has potential. There's no question. He's wiggly. He's not as wiggly as Trophies, but he definitely has potential. So Joel, I do have a question. When it's all said and done, when they're both 30, who will have had a better career, La Chofis or Carlos Fierro?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think though Oh man, that is. I think it's too soon right now. I give Chofi's next cycle to show us what he's got, and Fierro is resurging, and right now Fierro has under 17 title to his name.
He's on the uptick.
He has that I mean, I'll say right now though, discounting youth career, Chofis is in the lead. Definitely in the lead. I think he has right now more qualities to succeed.
It's just whether or not if he's given he has been given the tools. Let's see if he uses them.
Yeah, but I mean, I think a player like Fierro, man, his quality is there, and he could even be like one of those late bloomers. The way that what's his name?
Like Oribe?
Peralta, yeah, like Oribe, who didn't really. Chivas dropped him. Chivas had him at one point. They got him
Right.
for Copa Libertadores as a refuerzo, and they could have bought him, and they didn't, and it took him like 2 more seasons after that to break into the scene.
Yeah. Now it seems like the perfect player then Joel would be like if you were somehow were able to combine the best qualities of both Fierro and Chofis into one player. Chofierro. You would have the almost the perfect player.
Yeah, I mean, look, and he's 22, so he's still young. Still a young guy.
Yeah, they're both 20, 21, 22.
Yeah, 22. Remember, Fierro's 22, so I mean, hey, right now I'm just glad that he's managed to get some playing time, and he's because he was like very close to ending up in third division.
Right.
In some high school or some parking lot or something.
Not even Buse could get Fierro going.
Well, he was part of the Copa MX win. I wouldn't say key player, but he played his role.
He made a contribution.
He made a contribution, man. So I mean,
you are very bullish on Carlos Fierro. I hope it works out for you, but I just think that the trophies, like you said, has more of an upside. And
yeah, raw talent wise, he just seems, more explosive.
I'm looking at the líder de goleadores on the Crawl right on Univision. And do you think that when and it has the first initial period and then the last last name, and it says N period Castillo. How many people do you think when they see that go, oh man, just long for the days?
He owns a fishing store, John.
He does the ultimate Mexico mayfly, Nelly Castillo.
No, ¿sabes cuál es la diferencia? Que estoy en Europa y tú estás aquí en México. Y tú vas
Exactly.
I think that quote, when he said it, I think he was talking about the traveling. And I think they got spin to be like, I'm better off because I live in Europe.
Right. Well, because I think that what he said originally was, man, it's a 20-hour trip for me to get here. And he just goes, and so I think you're right. I do remember him talking about that.
I don't know, because he was saying you're always going to be here in Mexico.
Wait, no, you actually have the quote, Chiquis, or you're just spewing alternative facts.
Right, I have it right here. You see that? You're always going to be here in Mexico.
Well, he said that at the very end. That was his last little dig.
He's digging at him, saying,
Well, remember that was how the loudest cheer that Mexico got on the last hex was for Chaco. The loudest cheer that they got on the previous one was for Nettie. When he said that, and then they played Costa Rica, and then he came out and played like the last 15-20 minutes, and the crowd was going nuts for him. I remember Andres Cantor going, I cannot believe that the loudest cheer is for the guy that insulted the country. Cracked me up. I thought that was pretty funny, but I never thought it was an insult. But yeah, the old that one goal he scored against Brazil will forever be. That was 10 years ago. I mean, I used to have a Nettie Castillo Google alert on my that would go to my email if there was anybody that made it, if Nettie made news, because I thought for sure that he was going to come back to the national team, but alas, it did not. It did not happen. I thought that by bringing up our good friend Nettie that we'd have a Fernando sighting, but it appears that that's not going to be the case. Gentlemen, we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah, we've gone long enough.
We've gone over our allotted time. Now we went about 2.5 hours.
We covered all the topics for the day.
We did. We have definitely done that, and we'll do it again next week. Also here on the CantinaMX podcast, we're broadcast live every Wednesday evening at around 9:30 p.m. Central, which is 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 out on the West Coast, and 8:30 in the Mountain Time Zone. And of course, you can listen to this and all previous editions of the podcast on the podcast app on both your Google phones and your Apple iPhones. So thank you all very, very much for joining us. Chiquis, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. That was fun.
Joel, thank you. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll talk to y'all next week as well. This is John Jagu saying good night here on the CantinaMX podcast. Y'all have a good evening.